Hey, friends, welcome to the show. It's me, Curtis. We just got back from Georgia and South Carolina a couple of days ago. This is Thursday, June 1. And I'm holding in my hand our ticket stubs from the Center for Civil and Human Rights. And I thought it would be appropriate to wear one of my favorite t-shirts, feeling safe is a human right. This center is located in Atlanta, and I'm gonna turn off the AC there. So we had a chance to visit it, and I love museums, art, the Met, the Smithsonian. I visited museums all across the country, all around the world, the Guggenheim, the Louvre and Paris. And if you've been watching this show, you know how much I love presidential museums because of the way they capture a point in time when that person served as president. Last year I had a chance to visit the Jackie Robinson Museum, and it touched me so deeply and so profoundly. I signed up for membership. I'm on their mailing list. I can't wait to go back to interview the curator of the museum when I'm in New York later this summer. And then this weekend, visiting the Center for Civil Rights and for Civil and Human Rights. It's also the museum for, it was mind-blowing. It's traumatic. It's inspirational. It's all those things. There is an interactive display at the Woolworth counter where the four young brothers, the four black men from the state, and when you put your hands in the location where their hands were, and you witness what they went through. It's traumatic. It's 2 hours of some serious. Check it out if you get a chance to go out to Atlanta. We also visited South Carolina, and I look forward to sharing this trip with you as well as my visit to the museum. Today's show, because we were home to pack up things from Mom's house. My sister selling the old family home, and it was a very emotional thing, packing up and saying goodbye to the childhood home. Yeah, and I look forward to sharing some of those memories with you in a coming episodes. While I was there, I found some old videos, so I'm making today's show with some of those old videos about soup. Now, when I was with the Food Network, I was one of the original chefs on Food Network, and I did a lot of shows. In fact, the clips I'm going to show you today, I forgot I even did this show, Chef du Jour. There are 3 soups we're going to do on that show, and I'll tell you about those when we get there. Also, a clip from the home show. All right, y'all. Enjoy today's show. Forgive me for being so emotional. No, don't forgive me. Feel what I'm going through. Know what people who aren't as fortunate as we have to deal with. So let's reach back and help people, okay? All right, y'all. Enjoy the show. Peace. Spread love. Wow, check out that recording date, 1/25/96, 3 days after my birthday. Man, that's a long time.
Hello and welcome to Chef du Jour. Taking the reins today is Curtis Aikens, a self-styled, independent kind of guy that brings down-home Southern cooking into the 90s. Curtis, the television Food Network host of Food in a Flash and From My Garden, will cook today from his new book, Curtis Cooks with Heart and Soul. And here's Curtis.
My beautiful, beautiful boy. Hey, welcome back to the show. Let's do a hug before we get going here. Come on in here. Come up real close. Get up real close. Get off your seat. Get up and hug the TV. I love you, and I hope you pass it on. 8 hugs a day. You got to do that. I was just thinking coming in, I am so excited. The last show we did was, of course, the show Out in the Garden, or the last show I hosted. And now I'm doing Chef du Jour, and I love both, cooking out in that garden and also being in the studio. There's something about being in a studio and, things are confined, the people that we're working with, we kind of pass this love and share this love. And that's what I hope comes through your television. I hope you get my love for food, my love for the culinary, my love for what I do, cooking. That's what I really want to pass on and let you and hope you remember that cooking is not just to provide sustenance. It's also a way to relax. It's a good hobby. You can share so much with people when you feed them. Okay, do that. Now we're going to wrap up here with a recipe that this is kind of the quintessential Curtis Aikens recipe. It's down home, it's fancy, it's country, it's city, it's all of it. You know what I'm saying? So let's show you here. We're going to talk about the lentils here. The lentil du puy au français. This is the French lentil. Beautiful, beautiful lentil. A small lentil. They run a little more expensive than the country lentil that I'm going to show you in a second here. Now that's the French lentil. Look for that. Great flavor. I think you'll enjoy it. But you know, check your budget before you do that. This black lentil here is an Indian lentil. Isn't that gorgeous? Reminds me of the black bean, the turtle bean, if you will, from that's found a lot of cooking way south of the border, Cuban food, just wonderful, wonderful food. Now these are the red lentils. Aren't those gorgeous? You can find these little packets of lentils nowadays with the different colors. And this right here is that good old country lentil that I was talking about, that I grew up eating down in Georgia, that grandmama cooked up in North Georgia, that mama cooked in Conyers, and I'm going to cook for you today. All right? Remember, the thing about lentils is that they cook up faster than most of the other legumes. The lentil is a small, flat bean. You don't need to soak the dry lentils to get them ready to cook, because the liquid that we use in the soup is enough to cook those lentils. Let's get started here. I'm going to add a bit of broth to my stock pot. Then I'm going to add my vegetables. No oil here. This is pretty much a fat-free recipe here because the flavor you get. I added carrots, celery, some onion, and garlic. I'm just placing them all in at the same time. Now, if you really want to add a little more flavor, go ahead and add some oil to it or some butter to give it a little more zang when you're sighing. But what we're going to do here today is I'm going to show you how to bring out a lot of flavor, or with this recipe, I'm going to try to bring out a lot of flavor without the fat. We're going to use herbs in a second here. Now, let's go ahead and add to the onions and to the vegetables there, to the onions and carrots, I'm going to add some butternut squash. Butternut squash is one of those incredible squash. Granddaddy Curtis, Mom's dad, used to grow the most incredible butternut squash, and he also grew gourds, and then he make those beautiful those bird feeders. If you ever have a chance to drive down to Georgia, well, maybe to be there this summer for the Olympics. Go through North Georgia and just look at some of those old country homes and some of the things that out there. Like if you're cruising down from, be it New York or out west or wherever you're coming into to Georgia for the '96 Olympics, stop in Tennessee, see Rock City, then head on through the hills of North Georgia, a little town called Adairsville, where I spent a lot of summers. You'll see some old-fashioned bird feeders. To my butternut squash, I'm going to add some. I've got some. I almost said tomatoes, potatoes, the little red potatoes that are chopped up. I'm going to add my lentils next. Then I'm going to add my broth, okay? Whoo! Okay. I've got about 2 cups of broth. I think I'm going to add some more after we go off camera here and finish cooking this up, because those lentils will absorb that liquid. It may need a little more here. But you can also place a lid on and bring the moisture out of the other vegetables. I've got some spinach here that is chopped up. Wash that spinach real good, and then we chop that up. Go ahead and place a lid on your pot. Bring this to a boil, then lower it and let it simmer for about 35 or 40 minutes. And here, oh, is that soup or is that soup? Look at that, folks. Isn't that just gorgeous? Can you see that? Makes me excited just thinking about it. Now, here's the trick we're going to do here to really bring out the flavor. Again, we haven't used any oil. I'm going to add some herbs to this. I've got some spices, I should say. I've got some oregano and some basil here. I'm going to add some cumin. Now, this is our last recipe, and I don't want to go. I want to just hang out and cook some more. I got some coriander seeds. I'm going to throw a couple of bay leaves in here. And just let this simmer up. Now, as I plate this up, our last recipe of the day, you're going to come back tomorrow, right? We've got a couple more days of chef du jour to do. Remember, the address will come up. I don't want you to forget to put a self-addressed stamp envelope on there. And also remember that the Food Network now is online. We've gone cyber kitchen. hope you've seen those little ads that I talk about. I want to take you to the cyber kitchen. It's a lot of fun. So talk to us, internet. You can get these recipes. You can have all kinds of fun on the net. Isn't that a gorgeous, gorgeous soup there? Let's recap them real quickly. We started out the day with that beautiful pumpkin soup, and I substituted the calabaza squash there, that soup from the West Indies. Isn't that gorgeous? Beautiful, beautiful soup. 3 soups. I think the kids will like them. I think your spouse, your significant other, if you want to impress her, make some soup and be very romantic tonight. Also, we did that mushroom chowder. Beautiful. Then we ended the day with that city country lentil soup. All 3, I think, are fabulous. I hope you have a great day. Remember, God loves you. I love you. Peace out.
Do they eat your carrots? What'd she say? Because they were good for your eyes, right? Well, home grocer Curtis Aikens says eat up because they're not only good for your eyes, they're low in calories too. And this is our veggie of the month.
He's saying drink up.
Drink up.
Drink up.
Oh, good.
Beth, have you had carrot juice? Gary, which one of you have not had carrot juice?
I have
I've had
a
it, too.
juiceman thing because the juiceman was on the show and he sold me on it.
Yeah.
These are absolutely wonderful. Carrots. I know I say this too often about the vegetables and fruit being wonderful and so healthy for you, but carrots,
I do like it.
Isn't that great? It's almost like a milkshake. You don't think of milk with
I like
carrots.
it a little colder.
Yeah, me too.
This is our first veggie of the month. Why carrots?
Why carrots?
Yes.
Because most people think of it as this common vegetable that you see all the time, but they don't realize how wonderful it is. Not only raw, as crudité, most folks have it in the little vegetable carrot sticks
Great
and things,
roughage.
but it's a great cooked vegetable, and I want our home viewers to realize that. I think with a few little tricks, we can get our kids to eat more carrots. Now, it's not only good for the eyes, because we talk about vitamin A. In one single carrot is like 5,000 to 6,000 units of vitamin A, which is not only good for the eyes, it's great for building good teeth and bones, and, you know, with little babies and kids growing up, you need to help build those bodies. So I want to tell folks how to buy carrots.
Oops, our butter's
how to
burning.
cook. Well, we're not going to cook that recipe today.
Okay.
Okay,
right.
live TV, right?
Yeah.
Carrots. There's so many different types available nowadays. And those of you who are getting ready for your spring garden, we've got some little seed packets out front. And I want to show you one that I really, really want you to kind of think about. It's the little thimble carrot that's just absolutely wonderful
one of
to grow.
those in here?
Well, we don't have the thimble carrot
It's
with
like a
us.
button? Is
It's
it
like
round?
yeah, it's a little round. I'm going to pick this up.
How
And I
do you
want to
grow these, Curtis?
Oh, Gary is so mean to me this morning. What did I do to you, Gary? But folks, this is great.
I think it's this new hairdo I have. I don't know.
Is that it? The new do?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's our thing.
It's excited like the
I'm just a
turnip.
little lightheaded.
Let's learn them how to buy these
No,
things,
no,
okay?
I'm serious. If you want to go back and do that,
No, that's
please.
okay. It's easy to plant in your little home garden, your garden box, or on your patio.
Okay.
Remember that tip, folks. Just look at the back of the seed packet and I'll tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
Buying carrots. Most of the time, Gary, Beth, we see carrots like this in our grocery store in the plastic bags. I hate these things. We've talked about it several times in the show. Folks at home, and I normally tell you not to rip things open in the grocery store, but carrots, there's an exception to every rule. Remember that. I want you to put a little hole in the top of that bag. If the produce person gets upset, you tell them the garden grocer on the home show said
Curtis
to do
said to do it.
That's
Okay.
right. And send Gary the letter, okay?
How can a carrot be bad?
Well, if they sit too long, if they sit in the grocery store a long time, they'll dry out. Here are the tips. You look at both ends of it.
Okay.
You see how moist
Dead.
that is? Well, that's not really dead. Feel the moisture there.
All right.
See,
Yeah.
there's
I'll
no
put these in the
sprouting.
crisper in the refrigerator, and they're
Exactly.
good for a month in there.
That's
so
what
he's
I thought.
right.
It couldn't be bad.
Yep.
yeah.
So you look at the ends. If it's been there too long, now this is starting to dry out a bit, but the carrot's still okay. If the
Okay.
two ends are bad or dried out and meaty looking, the carrot's no good. Throw it away. What you should look for is a carrot no longer than 6 inches long, 6 to 8 inches long, and no more than 2 inches in diameter.
Oh, you don't
I
like the
love
jumbos?
these.
You don't like the jumbos?
I don't like the jumbos. I like them for cooking, but I don't like them for juicing or just for the
Okay,
crudité.
well, we're sold on your juice. Can you whip up the soup for us?
Hey, let's do the soup,
Yeah?
okay?
Thanks.
Remember, we got a lot of stuff in the newsletter, and this soup it's a great one.
This is
We'll call it
orange and carrot soup?
Exactly, orange with carrot soup. I stole this from a restaurant in Northern California. The guy's going to kill me, but it was so great. What we've got, folks, is 1.5 to 2 cups of water, okay? We're going to peel 8 to 10 carrots and dice them or slice them, whichever way you want to cook it. Then boil that.
great, isn't it?
And then take it out of the water. And this is TV, so we're taking some shortcuts to show you. We've got the water here, and what you've done is made your broth, okay?
Yes.
Just set that aside. We've got our diced carrots here. Now, in a frying pan, we're going to add about a tablespoon of margarine, and I've burnt it.
And blacken it.
And blacken it.
It's good, though, when it's like that.
Cajun soup here. Okay, so we add some onions. We got about a half onion or so, and 2 cloves of garlic. You want to saute that until the onions are clear, okay? Now, we've got an orange. You want a small orange or 1/4 of a large sweet orange. And we've got a little bit of rind there. Just dice that up. Okay, Gary, Beth, and you're going to make this tonight. I know, Gary.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So what we've done, we've got our carrots cooked, we've got our onions sauteed, and do a flipper like this right here, okay? So they're nice and clear. Now, what we want to do with these cooked carrots is add them to a blender, puree them, along with the cooked vegetables and the orange with the rind.
Yeah.
Add it back to the broth.
Back to the broth.
Cook it till we're ready to serve. And we got it over here.
We got it over here?
Yeah.
Right.
Now,
Oh,
scrape it
look
up,
at
Gary.
this.
Scrape it up.
Huh?
Yeah.
This looks like a squash soup.
While you guys taste, I want to show the folks at home these two dishes. Moms and dads, or whoever's in charge of preparing the meals at home, carrots, remember, they're wonderful. We've got a few sliced carrots and saute them in a little bit of margarine with brown sugar. Is that good?
Major hit.
Wonderful,
like
folks. Wonderful.
Great.
Yes.
Thanks, Eduardo.
Curtis Aikens.
On the way out of here. Mushrooms. I got mushrooms. You want some? You know, back in the early part of this century and the last part of the latter century, African Americans that sold food in whatever section of town we lived in, be it the South or up north, the vendors would sing songs to get people to come eat. It's like, mushrooms, I got mushrooms, or whatever it was. Like they had the pepper pot for making chilies or pepper dishes. Pepper pot, hot, and all kind of riddles to get people to come to their pot. So a lot of times you see me singing on the show, and it's my culture. I mean, that's what we did. Like you hear me talking about different cultures that I love to cook, Asian cuisine or things from Europe and France. But me, hey, I like to do the soul food too. We've got a recipe here that I think you're going to really enjoy. It's a chowder. It's a mushroom chowder. When I stopped eating meat in the early 80s and gave up seafood in the early part of the 90s, all flesh that is, one of the things I truly missed was clam chowder. So this was kind of my way of getting over getting my chowder fix. I came up with the corn chowders and now a mushroom chowder. And we've got those beautiful portobellos, and I've got the pleurotas, the oyster mushrooms, as well as some shiitake mushrooms. And what I've done is just a combination of those. I've chopped them up into nice pieces there, and we're going to make a chowder with them. A chowder is a nice, thick soup that I think you're going to enjoy here. I've gone ahead and melted some butter, and remember now, if you want to raise the smoking point of the butter, add a bit of oil to it. It can be any type of oil. It can be a vegetable oil or it can be an olive or whichever. Now what I'm going to do here is add some onions, and we want to saute those at home until they become translucent, a bit clear, you know what I mean? About 5 minutes it usually takes at home, but you know, I don't have 5 minutes to let them cook all the way, so I'm going to fast forward a bit here on La Television, okay? Just saute those up. What I'm going to do next is add my mushrooms, my beautiful mushrooms. Remember now, mushrooms are not a member of the, they're not a vegetable, nor are they a fruit. They have their own little family, the fungus family, fungi. Alrighty, now, get all those in and let them just saute up at home, until the mushrooms are soft. The fungi is soft. This soup is incredible. On the way out before the first break, I was talking to you about the romance of soup. In my book, I really talk about that. I think there are very few things that are as romantic as soup. I've kind of mentioned one bowl, 2 spoons, and your significant other. I mean, just think about it. One of those, it's just, yeah, get things started in the house there when you make up a nice little thick soup there. So I've got the mushrooms and onions, let them cook down a bit here. I've got some potatoes. I want to add some potatoes into our chowder as well. It helps to really thicken it up. Yeah. Some thyme, some thyme sprays there. And I'm using some dry thyme here. If you can't find the fresh thyme, dry thyme is really great. Okay, and I really like that flavor. Gonna add that in now. Next thing I'm going to add is some flour, just a bit of flour. This helps to thicken it up quite a bit. Okay? Now, if it's too thick, just add a little water or something to thin it out a bit. Now, let's just go ahead and toss everything over. Chowder. And I'm going to add some cream. Well, slowly, and just stir. Stir everything in. Now, we don't want this to curdle, so once we get all the cream in, I'm going to lower the heat here and just let this simmer at home for about 25 to 30 minutes. Let all that flavor of the mushrooms and the onions and the herbs flavor up that soup. Just get it nice and thick. Let it reduce a bit. Okay. Now I've got some that's already done here. Let me show you. We're going to go ahead and plate this one up. Ooh, look at that nice thick chowder. Oh, I just love it. I can't wait to eat this one. If you like it thick, this is for you. Okay. Woo. Isn't that beautiful? Mushroom chowder. Now I'm going to go ahead and garnish this with a little bit of some parsley here, okay? Just a tad, okay? And we're going to serve that one up. I think you're going to love that chowder, especially if you want to give up meat like I have, but you like that kind of coziness you get, that comfort food with soups. Two that I think you're going to enjoy. I've got one more coming up, plus I got a big old fat juicy hug. Let's do it. Come on back after the break. Hello, 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 and welcome to Chef du Jour. I'm having fun here. I'm getting some pumpkin ready. Well, not really pumpkin. It's a member of the pumpkin family. This is the calabatsu squash that is a great substitute. That time of year when you can't find the pumpkin, this calabatsu has a wonderful pumpkin-like flavor. In fact, I may even try to make a pie with this. The recipe we're going to do for you is a pumpkin squash from the book. This recipe is incredible. In fact, it was inspired by a restaurant here in New York. I cannot remember the name of the place. It drives me crazy trying to think of the name of it. But Sue Huffman, our VP of Programming, took me out to lunch a couple of years ago at this place, and they had the most incredible pumpkin soup. So when I start to write this book, I say, I want to do a pumpkin soup and think about that restaurant. So I started to recreate the soup. Went to the local markets to try to find pumpkins. And again, I was at that time of year when I couldn't find that nice sweet pumpkin. So I wound up just for experimenting using the butternut squash. So I find myself today not finding butternut nor pumpkin, so we got the calabatsu. But when I finished the recipe, it was exactly what I had at the restaurant, which means they probably substituted butternut squash as well. So what the point I'm trying to make to you is if something's not available, that key ingredient that you're looking for, don't be afraid to substitute. If pumpkin's not there, just the regular jack-o'-lantern that you're used to, go ahead and try the calabatsu or try a butternut squash or Danish queen. There's so many wonderful winter squash out there that are just wonderful tasting and great to work with. They're loaded with vitamins and nutrients. Let me show you, when buying the calabatsu or any other winter squash, the key thing to look for in these squashes is hardness, okay? If there's soft spots in the winter squash, that means the squash has not been stored properly. When I say soft spots, just kind of inspect it on the outside. Just take your time and inspect it. If there are any soft spots or wetness on the outside, other than just from the machine sprinkling, stay away from that squash. They will keep, 6 or 8 months. Back in the, I don't want to say old days, but the Native Americans would use the pumpkins as kind of storage vessels. I mean, they would store pumpkins and also use them as cooking vessels. Just incredible things can be done with the pumpkin. So here I've got, what I'm going to start out by is making a vegetable stock. I talked to you about vegetable stocks and using them in soups, I think in yesterday's show on Chef du Jour. So I figured I'd do that first off. Let me show you the ingredients that we're going to use to make our stock. I've got some celery here. I've got some onion, parsnip. You know how much I love parsnip, as well as some carrot. Now let me show you something here. When it comes to making stocks, a lot of times I will leave the onion out. Why? Because the onion is so powerful, it has such a powerful flavor that sometimes it can overpower the other vegetables. Now, if you're going to make an onion soup, it's okay to do that, but sometimes I'll just leave it out. But if you want to make that strong flavor, just go ahead and leave it in. So what we're going to do here to make our vegetable stock, I'll get my burner going here, and just take your time. You can make a vegetable stock in less than an hour, whereas meat-based stocks take a little longer. I'm going to add some oil right in the bottom of our pan, and we're going to start out just by throwing the vegetables in there and let them cook. I'm going to start with the onion. Celery goes next. Get in there, celery, the parsnip. Okay? And now, according to how much stock you want to make, of course, you add your water. I've got about 2 cups here. We're going to add 2 cups of water here. And what I want you to do is bring this to a boil. I'm going to add just a bit of salt because with the stocks, you don't want to over-salt them because it may change your soup. So you really want to flavor it with the salt and pepper when you make your soup. So what I want to do is make a stock, just a bit of salt, okay? And then I like to keep stock on hand. I make up some vegetable stock and keep it in the fridge. Don't want to keep it more than a week, okay? But really have it in a nice airtight container. Bring that to a boil, covered, of course, okay? Now, once it comes to a boil, you can lower it to a simmer, let it cook about, let's say, 30 minutes or so, and then check it. When I say check it, just take it and taste it, okay? Taste that broth, and if you've got a nice, strong broth, you're in good shape. Let's remove that and move ahead. And remember, this is the magic of TV, so I've got some prepared here. What I want to do here is strain these vegetables off. I've strained them off here, and let's see if you can see that. Can we get a shot in there, guys? Huh? Ernie, what do you think, babe? Oh, that's a beautiful stock. Ernie is my boom man. Is it okay to say that, Ern? Talk to me, baby. Shake your head, Ernie. Yeah. He's saying, it's okay, Curtis. Look at that. Isn't it a beautiful stock? That's a nice clear stock. I'm going to pour some of that in so you can really get a look at this. Let me grab a ladle here. Lauren said, Curtis, what are you doing? We didn't rehearse that. But I want you to see this clear broth here. You see that? That's a nice clear broth. And let me show you here now. We've got kind of what do we call this, Lauren? A double batch here. Now let me show you the difference here. What we've done is really made a strong broth by adding more vegetables and cooking, then strain it off. Look at the difference in the colors there, huh? Isn't that cool? Like if you want to make that classic French onion soup, but without a meat stock, go ahead and make a double batch of broth there. And let's make a vegetable soup. What do you think, huh? Let's make a nice pumpkin soup for you. So let's get busy. I'm trying to do my little Marv Albert impression there. I like Marv's work. Oh, I tell you, take it away, Curtis. Anyway, to our stock pot, I want to add some oil. Remember, folks, I mean, you can do fat-free cooking. You can do all kind of low-calorie stuff if you want to cut back. But, hey, it takes some fat to get the flavor to really come out, okay? So just a little bit. If you allow the vegetable cook-aways, it really brings that flavor out. Okay, now go ahead and we're adding our pumpkin. In this case, our calabaza squash. Okay, remember, pumpkin is a member of the squash family, so we haven't deferred too much. Now, we add our pumpkin, or you could add the onion first. I'm going to add some onion here. I'm going to let this saute at home. If you add the onion first, allow it to cook until the onion is clear, okay? Then we add our squash. Now, we're going to add a bit of, let's add our broth here. We got our double batch, our thick broth here. And we want to allow this to come to a boil, okay? Then lower it to simmer. Alrighty. Whew! This is a wonderful, wonderful soup, by the way. Go ahead and stir that up. Just allow the vegetables to become tender. Now we're going to add a bit of maple syrup here. A little soy, okay? And also some tomatoes. I've got some diced tomatoes that go right in there. And let's stir those up. Now let me show you two other ingredients that will go in the last 10 minutes of cooking. Let me place a lid on this. I've got a bit of cream and some broccoli. So I'll add those in there about the last 10 minutes of cooking because you don't want to overcook that broccoli. And here's our soup when it's nice and done. Now it does not make it over creamy, but just adds a nice smoothness to the soup. Let's go ahead and plate some of this up. This soup is, oh wow. And if you can add other things to it as well. Like if you like a real thick soup, you can add some rice to it or some pasta. Isn't that just gorgeous, huh? I think you're going to really enjoy this soup. And if you like, you could also puree this down to get a nice smooth soup, but I wouldn't. I'd serve it up nice and chunky like that. Isn't that beautiful? One of those cold days, think about it, soup and that significant other of yours, one bowl, 2 spoons, you reach down, you see her eyes, and ooh, let's see what happens after that. Come back, we'll do some more soups.